So today I'm going to be making a video where I'm like, this is going to get some hate. I wouldn't be surprised if this video, considering how well the channel's doing, if it gets into certain circles, and I don't really care because this is what I will be saying as not as complete fact, but the more I'm looking at this, the more it appears to be very, very obvious. And I'm somebody that, look, I've watched plenty of WNBA over the years. I'm not a hardcore WNBA fan. I wasn't a hardcore WNBA fan. I would watch the finals every year. I would watch like certain games. I remember I did watch Aaliyah Boston when she faced Asia Wilson last year. I would watch a lot of women's college basketball through the years. I watched all those great UConn teams. And big reason for that was because in Ireland especially, women's basketball is at a higher level than men's basketball in comparison to the rest of the world. So, for example, like I'd be watching when Quinnipiac were winning conference title after conference title, when Adele Thornton was playing for them, I'd be watching those teams playing in the NCAA tournament. I think that one year they played UConn and lost, and I would tend to just watch. I would watch the dominant UConn teams for the years. I think was it Notre Dame that beat them for the first time, then I'd be watching those games. So I just like the sport of basketball. I didn't claim to be a super fan, but I would have watched enough women's basketball. Heck, I watch more low level Irish women's Superleague basketball. Watch more than 99% of people, or well, not much more than probably 95% of people in Ireland. I'm not somebody that has just watched men's basketball, just an NBA watcher. Heck, if you ask me what league of basketball that I watch the most of, it would be the Irish Superleague or the Irish National League, which is a lower standard of basketball than the WNBA. Like obviously an Irish Super League team, just because of physical differences, would probably blitz a WNBA team, but that's not the point. It's a lower level of basketball. So if for anyone saying, oh, you're just an NBA watcher, I will watch literally any form of basketball. Heck, when I was in the Philippines, I watched people playing against, like I watched two like local like cities or towns playing against each other, and legitimately they were missing open layups, and it was great fun. But the one thing I will say is the WNBA vets are ruining the WNBA. And I hate to say it, and I watched the Stephen A. Smith thing, and I was watching it being like, okay, like who I need to get her name. I was off the top of my head. Could not remember, but she made really good points against Stephen A. Smith. She made really, really good points in Stephen A. Smith, or like when she was arguing against Stephen A. Smith. But it's because Stephen A. Smith, just like Shannon Sharp, makes it with Monica McNutt. Stephen A. Smith makes arguments in generalities because very clearly, if you are like, these WNBA vets are coming on and telling us that our eyes are lying to us. These players are trying to rough up Caitlin Clark. They were trying to rough up injuries. It is what it is. These vets do not like these rookies because they think, oh, we had it hard. We had all this. This is a tough league. We got beat up as rookies. That doesn't help anything. Do you want to know why people are watching women's basketball right now? Do you want to know why people are watching this rookie class? Because they really, really enjoyed what was happening in college basketball. You know what didn't happen in college basketball? Players getting beaten up. Prison rules. And I'm not just talking about Caitlin Clark. I'm talking about the WNBA in general. It is prison rules basketball. And yeah, there are a lot of new fans. There are a lot of new fans who are fans of the sport of basketball in general, who are going and watching WNBA games and not enjoying the fact that it's prison rules basketball. They're being like, oh, this is a tough people's league. No, that's not basketball. Half the time stuff that happens in this league is not basketball. And that's where the problem is that the NBA realized that this is an entertainment league. This is an entertainment league. And it seems like the vets and the long-term fans of the prison ball rules basketball are holding the league back. They are. And if you're one of them, it's holding the league back from growing. And it's fine. Like, if you want the WNBA to remain as this niche league where anything goes and it's more physical than college, than literally any other level of basketball. There's no level of basketball other than the Dagestani basketball league that is even a comparable physicality to WNBA. And that's not a good thing, by the way. That's not a good thing for entertainment value. People do not want to watch Caitlin Clark get manhandled 94 feet. People do not want to watch games that end, a game that ends 70-47. People don't want to watch teams scoring in the 60s, which happens sometimes, because it's just too much physicality allowed. There's obviously the other extreme, which is the way the NBA got, and they want it to be a bit more physical. But there is more physical, and then there is allowing teams hack each other for an entire game. That is now the problem, is that these new fans were fans, and I'm not talking about the people that aren't really fans that just want to use Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese to push their own agendas. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about fans of the sport of basketball that are having their eyes in this game. That what they want to see is, they want to see the brand of basketball that was being played in college. Because it wasn't just Caitlin Clark. There's a reason why people watched. If it was one player going off against everybody else, and nobody else could compete, and there was nobody else, there was no storylines, there was no other teams that were good. No, Caitlin Clark was very clearly like the most popular of these players. If you want to argue Angel Reese, there's an argument off the court, but on the court, it was very clearly Caitlin Clark. And afterwards, you had your Angel Reese, your Camila Cardoso's, Nika Mule, Paige Becker's, Flo J. You had all these other players, Hailey Van Lith, who were like legitimately ballers. Like, these players are absolute ballers. And the problem is that not even just the rookies. You can't see any of these ballers because they're being hacked. The whole thing is that basketball as an entertainment game became a huge entertainment game when with Larry Bird, with Magic Johnson, and it really exploded with Michael Jordan. What happened with Michael Jordan? Explosive guard play. They changed the rules. After the Bad Boy Pistons happened, David Stern was just like, oh, well, you're Michael Jordan's our ticket out of this. Michael Jordan is the reason why this league's going to grow. Yet you're not doing that anymore. Whereas the WNBA fans, these fans, do not want the league to grow. They actually don't. They want it to be this niche independent artist. Like the WNBA fans, the historic WNBA fans, the vast majority of them were fans of the sport, but were happy that it was the equivalent of a niche independent artist. But now it seems like the way it is that this niche independent artist has released a couple of mainstream songs, and their concerts are getting 10 times more fans, and they're reminiscing, saying, oh, I wish this was like it used to be. These fans only know the new songs, they don't know all the old stuff. That is what the equivalent is. That is what these fans are like as an equivalent. And that is one of the big problems, is that the league is not going to grow in its current state. And as much as Angel Reese wants to not put on the tough, she wants to, she's saying all the right things as far as being tough and being seen as tough. It is going to be the worst thing for the league. It is going to be the worst thing for the league. Because there have been so many, not even the cheap shot, by the way. There have been so many basketball plays that are no calls that would be flagrant in the NBA. They are letting people hack each other. And this is not just Caitlin Clark's games. They're letting everybody hack everybody. Like, nobody wants to watch a game where two people are hacking each other. I'm sorry. We can reminisce on the 1980s basketball. There's a reason why the game picked up when Michael Jordan was dominating, because he was exciting. There's a reason why they stopped the damn Jordan rules. There's a reason why they got rid of the hand check, because the early 2000s, you were seeing ratings plummet. You were seeing the Nets make back-to-back finals. You were seeing people care less and less about basketball. Heck, when the Detroit Pistons won and they played the Pacers, you were looking at all these teams and you were like, people were losing interest in basketball. People were losing interest. And yeah, I get it. People are losing interest now when it gets too far the other way. But the problem with the WNBA is that they now have an opportunity to change it. Whether their higher ups are stubborn enough, whether their media is stubborn enough. And the fact is these former players are going onto the media and telling the new fans that they're wrong for how they like basketball. Because there is some ridiculous things that have been said by these new fans, but a lot of the old, not even old media, a lot of the old players that are in the media are effectively going now on a media tour to tell the new fans of the game, and I'm not talking about, again, I'm talking about actual fans of basketball, telling them that they are wrong about the sport of basketball. When in reality, you want to know the reason why players get paid a lot of money to play this game? Because of entertainment. That is the only reason people get paid this sport. Because it is a game. It is a game at the end of the day. It is a game. But we pay a lot of money because we are entertained by the game. The reason why it's dumb for the argument, people being like, oh, why do sports players make more than doctors? It's like, well, yeah, because we will pay these sports players to watch them. We will pay. We will give our money. The problem is that once the game becomes less entertaining to the masses, the fans are going to drop, the attendance is going to drop, and it's going to be the exact same position as it was in. You see all this major growth. This major growth was not necessarily off the back of Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark was doing the exact same thing for 4 years in college. She was doing the exact same thing as a freshman. She was doing the exact same thing as a sophomore. The reason was that entire championship run. It was nothing to do with the "you can't see me," because it was the record game anyway. People didn't tune into that game knowing that Angel Reese was gonna "you can't see me" her at the end of the game. Like, people were watching the game anyway, because Caitlin Clark had a 40-point triple-double against Louisville, and then had 40 points against South Carolina, stopping them from going 3 straight years with, like, going back-to-back-to-back with undefeated seasons back-to-back-to-back. And the reason was the basketball was good to watch. When the sport is fun to watch, people will watch it. It's not fun to watch for the masses. And, like, look, I like the sport of basketball. I watch much lower standard of basketball in the WNBA. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the sport of basketball because literally the fact that I'm able to, it's looking like I will be able to watch games at any level and talk about them for a living. I will just watch basketball all the time. I couldn't care less what level it is. But I will say this. This MMA rules basketball, this prison rules basketball that is being praised by people in the WNBA is going to kill the league. It is going to destroy the league. And I'm telling you, Caitlin Clark's going to be a really good WNBA player. The problem is that she's going to be a passer. She's going to be a really good WNBA player as a passer. You see, she's going to be roughed up out of the game that people want to watch to see. Paige Beckers is going to be roughed up out of the game she wants to see. You see, the big thing is that you're seeing more and more female basketball players. They've got the handle, they can pull up from mid, they can do it all. Same with Juju's coming in. The problem is that when they go to the league, they allow so much physicality that the only players that can succeed are your Alyssa Thomases, your Aja Wilsons, your like 6'5" strong players who just want to go head down one dribble to the basket, which is not fun to watch. It's a league where they're basically the only players that can succeed on a elite high level. Unless, again, without, like, Breanna Stewart. Breanna Stewart's an exception. But the most effective players in this rule are the players that can just overpower everybody. And that's not what people want to watch basketball for. Funnily enough, regardless of what you are saying, the amount of people are going to be like, oh, I watched WNBA for X, Y, and Z years. Like, this is the basketball I want to watch. Cool. If it's the basketball you want to watch, cool. If you want WNBA to stay as a niche league where players aren't making any money, where they're flying commercial, cool. And this is not about Caitlin Clark, because when Paige Beckers comes into the league, she's going to be beat up out of her game too. When Juju Watkins comes into the league, she's going to be beat up out of her game too. Unless something changes, and that is from the top down for referees. This is nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. Unless something changes with the way that these games are refereed and the way that these games are allowed to be played with the physicality that's allowed, this league will never grow, because people want to watch basketball. People do not want to watch two people trying to beat the crap out of each other and seeing what they can get away with on referees. People have never wanted to watch that. Yes, people look back with nostalgia on old eras of basketball, but in the prison ball era of basketball, there's a reason why the games were on tape delay. There's a reason why people didn't watch. There's a reason why they stopped the Jordan rules. There is a reason. So, I was watching the Stephen A. Smith thing, and I was like, I actually think Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe are wrong in a lot of situations, but the argument of this league is physical, you just don't know what you're talking about, and it's like, that's a dumb argument, because people are actually coming into this league to watch basketball. If the people are coming in to watch basketball and they are complaining that they can't watch basketball, the people that are celebrating the fact that the league, that a big part of the league, or all the physicality, that is not basketball. The people that are celebrating the non-basketball parts of this league and criticizing people that just want more basketball are wrong. It's not Stephen A. Smith. It's not the new fans that are wrong in this scenario. Because the new fans are the reason. There are more new fans than old fans, by the way. The new fans are the reason why the sport is growing. And you can't just say these new fans are wrong. Because at the end of the day, the way the game was being played was not getting viewers. The way the game was being played in college was drawing in viewers. What was the reason? The game was entertaining to watch. There were entertaining players. Yes, Caitlin Clark was the most entertaining, but there were a lot of entertaining players. The problem is that every bit of entertaining basketball is being sucked out of these players' games in the WNBA. And until the rules change, this rookie class is going to continue to die and die and die. There's going to be hype next year for Paige. Yeah, Paige is going to be pushed down a level. Then you're going to see the same with Juju in a couple of years' time, and whoever the new players are that have been watching these players in college. And then eventually, after one too many college star that we love watching in college sucks in the WNBA because they get beaten the crap out of in the league. They get beaten up so that their game has to change, and they become a Sabrina Ionescu where they just become spot-up shooters and almost like a robotic basketball player. As great as Sabrina is, not fun to watch. Like, how many times do these players need to become robotic basketball players? People are like, oh, Caitlin Clark needs to fit in. Okay, yeah, Caitlin Clark turns into a passing point guard who just stands up and spot up and shoots from the three-point line. Cool. No one's going to want to watch that. She's been beat up out of her game. Cool. Who's the next person? Paige. Paige gets beat up out of her game. Juju does it again. These players will turn off. And once it happens to one too many players, you can forget about anything in the league. Once the league gets a reputation of being prison ball basketball, the new viewers are here. People are saying the league was growing the league was growing slightly year on year. The league is growing exponentially. The problem is now is that exponential growth are expecting basketball and they're seeing prison rules. So what's going to happen now is that eventually it'll happen one too many times, and I'm not even talking about cheap shots. I'm just talking about guard play being basically non-existent in a lot of scenarios. And not necessarily guard play, the guard play that people kind of want to see. Being beaten out of players. And they're going to stop watching. They're just going to stop watching. And that's not on the players to stop competing, because at the end of the day, if the referees allow you to beat the crap out of other players, you should beat the crap out of other players. It's on the league. It's on the league. It's on the commissioner. It's on the referees. It's on something to change, because I can see the way this is going. And look, I love the fact that I can currently talk about the WNBA and it's going really well, but the hype is going to die. The mania is going to die. And I actually think unless something changes, in 3 years' time, you see that little bit of growth year on year and the massive growth, the league's going to be in a worse position than a little bit of growth. Because people are now actually getting to watch the sport and they're not liking what they're watching. And it's nothing about the cheap shot and Caitlin Clark. These people are not enjoying the product. And that is the saddest part of it, is basketball fans, a lot of the new fans in the WNBA, not the ones on Twitter, not the people you are complaining about, are not enjoying the basketball product. And that is what's going to get people to turn off, whereas they enjoyed the basketball product in college basketball.